Hello and welcome to the Emerald City Video Podcast. Uh,
Keep it. Roll it, keep it.
I, I'm Russ, and this is Zach.
Hello. Boo, boo.
And
Yep.
I'm going to say this every time I have this file. I have a script from, uh, oh, shucks, the guy who made Black Swan,
Aronofsky.
Aronofsky. Yeah,
Yeah.
from Aronofsky's Batman movie. Like the
Hmm.
script was floating around on the internet for ages, and I downloaded it at one
Yeah.
point. My computer sees it as a threat. And so every time my computer does a scan, it quarantines this like 20-year-old script. And I just, as we're starting, got a pop-up telling me that it is quarantined Batman Year One dot PDF or whatever. Uh,
Well, that's appropriate considering Aronofsky has started doing making AI films with Google.
yeah.
So yeah, his entire career now is a threat. And yeah,
What's really a bummer is that obviously I love his cinematographer, Matty Libatique, who
yeah.
shot all, I think, of Aronofsky's movies except for maybe what was he had one before Requiem, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, what was Aronofsky? Was it? I always forget. Pi? Was it?
I can't.
Um,
I can never remember if Pi is him or Nolan. I feel like it's Nolan, right?
I thought Nolan was following.
Yes, you're. Yeah, right. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I don't think Matty shot Pi, but I think he shot every other Aronofsky movie, and also, the greatest comic book movie ever made, Josie and the
Mhm.
Pussycats. Um, but
Yes, Pi.
and
Yeah.
and so I'm like, I take it personally. Like, aside from like the general AI bullshit, it's like I take it personally if Aronofsky's going to start using AI because like you're going to put one of the best cinematographers in the business out of work.
I, I
Um,
mean, I mean, like it's doing the same thing. Natasha Leone is also throwing her hat into doing like
yeah,
AI productions, and I was just reading an interview with Reese Witherspoon, and she's just like, it didn't necessarily sound like she's like currently doing it, but she's like, oh yeah, I use AI in my daily life, and like there's a I think Vanity, no Glamour, I think Glamour interview with
mhm,
her and it was just like it's going to be part of one of those people that like it's going to be part of filmmaking, basically get fucking used to it kind of thing.
yeah,
Like she didn't swear,
right,
but it's just one of those that's like I also hate that like oh well it's kind of I mean
yeah,
from the political side of things it's like well Trump is president, might as well go along with it,
yeah,
type of thing. There's troops in the streets, might as well give them lunch, might as well welcome them, whatever. And it's just like, no, we don't have to accept it. I don't know. I'm actually like, I think I'm going to start up a separate TikTok that is just basically called AI is a cancer
mm,
and talking about how like it's basically infecting, metastasizing across every part of our lives and there's no escape from
mhm,
it. And this is my like sorry, it's just like literally opening up Zoom and you have to unclick
yeah,
not to accept basically AI as part of it. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I get that certain people want to embrace it and want to use it, and a very weird set of people that I don't understand find it useful. I guess if you're unable to do your job like the job that you were hired for and able to write and and do whatever
well, and
okay or if you want to like do math formulas that you can't actually trust the answer for but like I just want the option to turn it off like I use Adobe um and it's just like it's embedded in everything and it's like accidentally I'll click a button and like it's like AI is now part of your thing and I'm like no I understand that certain people want to make AI art.
mhm,
Fuck them. I hope they die in a ditch, along with the people that run AI companies. But I don't want to do that. And it's just like it's so weird that it's just like no, there's no option to not
yeah,
participate in this, and it's just like to me that's like it's reeks of desperation.
yeah, oh, for sure,
Like it's
yeah,
like you know what it is? It's the Apple putting the U2 album on your iPhone of technology. That's what it
yeah.
is.
Well, and you're right, it's desperation, and part of it is this. It's the same thing that we have with cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean,
we have
you
a
know,
solution in search of a problem.
yeah.
We have. people who have put way too much money into this technology, and they realize that by and large, most everyday users have no utility for it. And so now it's like, what can we break and then fix with AI
Yeah.
so that we can convince everyday people that there's utility to this? And I it's not a one-to-one thing, but it's very similar to how hard it is now to find a dumb television.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want a smart TV for a bunch of reasons, not least of which is we've had the TV up in the bedroom. We've had it for like a year and a half, 2 years, something
Yeah.
like that. And um the other day, it's a Amazon Fire TV,
Yeah.
which we got basically because somebody had COVID and they were in their room for a week, and so we
Yeah.
got a TV.
Who, Russ, in your house, who didn't have COVID at any given time?
Yeah,
That's my question. Anyway, sorry.
but so we got the TV for the quarantine, and yes, we continue to do like pseudo in-house quarantines up. We would still do it now, I think, if somebody got COVID.
Yeah.
So this isn't like I'm not exaggerating. It is a 1 to 2 year old TV, not a 5 year old one.
Yeah.
But in any event, so the other day the kids were up there and suddenly YouTube started like stuttering, like it had a really slow connection.
Yeah.
And it would like and can't fix it.
Hmm.
And we were like, oh, that's weird. And then Callie and I were watching a baseball game and we noticed that the audio on the game was off by like 3 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
and the audio was ahead of the video. So it'd be like you'd hear the crack of the bat, the announcer would
Yeah.
react, and then all of a sudden you see the guy swing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, oh, that's a bummer. Like when we're done watching this game, the next one will be fine. And no, it's not because it wasn't the game. It was apparently the MLB app,
Yeah.
but like taken in concert with the YouTube thing, I assume it's like the Amazon Fire firmware is fucked up in some way.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like I've never had this problem just hooking devices into my television.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to fix like oops, the firmware that runs your entire
Yeah.
TV. Like and also because like we bought this is a cheap one. And so we bought because it was like, oh, we need it now because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
what happened was that we loaned the other TV to a family member and it came back and it was cracked, but it was like the crystal on the
Yeah.
inside. So we didn't know it was cracked till we turned the TV on.
Ah.
And so like we start the quarantine and it's like, oh no, we need to go to Best Buy right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we got a cheap TV because we weren't planning on it. And so of course, this is in addition to everything else, it runs ads constantly if you're
Yeah.
not actively watching it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, my next TV is not going to be a smart TV.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's going to be much harder to fucking find a dumb TV. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to like go to an appliance store instead of going to Best Buy. But
Yeah, no. I've had a good run with the Roku TVs. And I'll probably TC I think TCL technically. But like at this point, like I might end at this point it's just like it runs off of I have a separate Roku it's a soundbar Roku thing, which I highly recommend like as a whatever because it's like $65. It works as a Roku device and it works as a soundbar, which is, flat screen TVs like just suck balls when it comes to audio. This is a lot better. But the cool thing is, not that this is not a sponsored ad,
yeah,
but it also you can Bluetooth headphone into
oh
it.
nice.
So I have like weird hearing issues when it comes to like audio and dialogue on top of like the flat screen stuff. And so I end up doing that sometimes if it's like a movie I want to do that. But that said, I was just like that's like the way I'm dealing with like the next TV I buy, like because I want
Yeah.
to get like a slightly bigger one pretty soon. I'm just gonna get whatever the cheapest thing is and then hook up my Roku to one of the HDMI cables and just use that.
I
Um,
saw a Roku recently, and I don't remember when, like what model it was, but I saw one that you can hook an Ethernet cable into.
yeah.
Can you do that with your soundbar?
I'd have to double check. I'm not quite sure.
Because
It does have some other functions. there's some problems with the like I haven't figured out how to run my Blu-ray player through
Mhm.
it, so I have to go to the TV side of the app, another different
Right.
HDMI to use that. And unfortunately, so I watch a movie on my Blu-ray, which has better audio and everything like that,
Yeah.
and then I'm not using the better speaker. But I feel like that's like a me problem, not sitting down and just working out how that whole thing works out.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
so so yeah. So but yeah.
Um, so that all of that kind of reminds me that we wanted to or I don't know if we wanted to talk about it on the show, but you had shared with me a link for Lost in the Stream, which is Jeff Razio's new book.
Mhm.
Jeff is a dude who, like, if you are into the physical media side of um, TikTok or Instagram, you've seen him because he's one of those dudes who's just kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and sorry, I just realized how fuzzy I was, and so I fixed my resolution. I finally like widened the hole in the floor from the cable so that I could run an Ethernet cable up here. And so I finally have a stable connection in the office. So I can actually have
Oh,
uh
nice. I was noticing that. I wasn't even thinking about that, but it was yeah, nice.
yeah, for the last however 3 years since I moved into this office, we
Yeah.
haven't had a strong connection on any of our calls.
Yeah.
Um, but it, all of that was an unnecessary digression if you're listening in audio. But if you're watching the YouTube video, then you just noticed that I went from potato to orange or whatever. Uh, anyway, Rossio is one of those dudes who like has really seems to have blown up. I think just because he found his niche on the like physical media side of TikTok, and then a bunch of companies that still have physical media releases have reached out to him to do collaborations because he has however many thousands of TikTok and Instagram followers, and they're all obviously very motivated consumers of physical media.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't read the book yet, but I know that not only is it out, but also at least right now, if you are an Amazon consumer, you can get it on Kindle for 2.99.
Yeah.
Um, so
That's
I've heard good things. Of course, it's always hard because it's like it's an incredibly niche community that we've got going on here, and hearing good things is always going to happen because it's like, well, of course, because it's Jeff and everybody likes him. But I am looking forward to reading that. Um,
Yeah, I just also oh yeah, that's 84% off, so I will buy it right now as well. Um yeah, no, I'm looking forward to reading that one too when I get done with a couple of the uh terrible books that I have to read.
Luckily, I'm actually kind of at a lull right now. I read a lot of books over the summer because my wife and kids were home all the time, and so I wasn't hanging out in the office as much as I probably should be. Um, but now that summer's over, I kind of actively pruned down my reading list so that I wouldn't feel like I was in the middle of five things. Um, but uh, next thing I wanted to mention, this is an episode where we don't have a movie to review. We're just kind of like we wanted to catch up on some stuff. It's been a while since we made anything. Uh, Bill Fulton just started following us on Substack, so I wanted to make sure we made an episode for him. Um, but uh, there's a trailer today for a movie called I Like Me. It's coming out next month on, I think it's Prime. Ryan Reynolds shared it on YouTube, and it is a documentary film about John Candy.
Ah, yes.
And it's because it's directed by Colin Hanks. Um, he has access to everyone in Hollywood. Um,
Mhm.
the trailer does a really effective job of kind of communicating the big ideas and pulling at the heartstrings a little bit. I will say there's like a montage of super, super famous people saying absolutely nothing in the trailer. And it makes me wonder how much of this is just like, look at all the famous people who we got to sit in a room with us.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Hopefully
Certainly,
that's just the trailer. Like
yeah.
that's
I mean,
just
I'm
like, oh,
assuming,
look at famous people and we don't want to
yeah.
pull, what they say, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some of the people who don't talk in the trailer, like Martin Short. I'm sure Martin Short, who's a very articulate guy and a very funny guy in general, has
Yeah.
things to say about Candy. Um, I do think they prioritize the right voices in the trailer. His daughter's the first person you hear talking, and then after that, you get a lot of, or no, actually, that's not true. The first person is Bill Murray.
Yeah.
But his once they get into the like meat of the trailer, it's his daughter, and then a bunch of his closer collaborators who worked with him on multiple projects and stuff. Steve Martin does a lot of talking in the trailer. Catherine O'Hara does a lot of talking in the trailer. And so I'm super excited, like to see. I feel like it's probably from the look of it, it's going to be a little bit more like one of those Puff documentaries that's like Tom Zimny's Springsteen documentaries, where like
Yeah.
they're well done, but like kind of inch deep.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean honestly, that's really all you need. With like, I do think it's great to see somebody celebrating John Candy. I feel like he's a guy who um has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Hmm.
I guess probably just he died young, and a lot of people talked a lot about him at the time. But I feel like what's happened is that the rest of that generation of comics, like between Belushi and Candy, they got a real wake up call, and most of them seem to have straightened out their shit and haven't
Yeah.
died young.
Yeah.
And so now you have like Bill Murray and Steve Martin as the elder statesmen, and and the people who passed away along the way kind of are
Yeah.
less kind of discussed.
Yeah. I also I know this is weird coming from like a political investigative journalist, but I'm like I'm also kind of also often I'm okay with not having like let's look in the seedy side of John
Oh yeah,
Candy's. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be in there. Like, there's no way
yeah.
not doing it. I think, because
Mhm.
obviously that, affected his career and, whether he
Yeah.
did movies and this type of thing, like it's impossible to write that history. But like
Mhm.
so many, I feel like every fucking goddamn documentary about a celebrity or about somebody where it's just like, I mean, unless they're like a known person,
Yeah.
that's like a terrible, like,
I
or if
think
it's uncovering, it's just like, let's just,
based on the trailer,
yeah.
I think they're going to thread the needle a little bit with it, because one of the things about John Candy is that um, he never had like serious substance issues that I recall. Like he drank, he smoked, he whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that like he certainly wasn't like railing cocaine the way John Belushi was.
Yeah.
Um, but he often like his biggest things were like obviously his weight was out of control for a lot of his life, and also he was really bad with money,
Yeah.
and so he ended up doing a lot of pretty shitty movies like for the paycheck.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that they are like I think they're going to be able to address that. And one of the things they like in the trailer they talk about how he was the kind of guy who would give you money when he didn't have it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to try to thread the needle of being like some of this is a personal failing, but some of it is like the opposite of that. It's the fact that
Yeah.
he like overextended himself to help people and like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so I get the impression obviously that could lean into whitewashing a little bit in and of itself.
Yeah.
But one, I don't know how bad it is to whitewash. Like he's a comedian. He didn't hurt anybody. Like,
Yeah.
and secondly, like, um, I, it's better than having, like you said, the stereotypical celebrity documentary where it's
Yeah.
like you know where it's going.
You know,
Um,
I will say, like, I do think I do like I agree with you when you say that he did some shitty movies, and I'm like going through his thing, going through his catalog, and I'm like, there's Lost, I guess Lost and Found. I don't remember that movie at all. Uh,
yeah, he did
like
the one Dan Aykroyd directed that everybody hated. That
like Double Negative. Like there's some TV shows, but I
mm,
mean, like you talk about like a catalog of things. It was just like he did heavy metal, he did Stripes,
Yeah.
a bunch of bunch of
Second
stuff on
City stuff.
SCTV, which is classic, National Lampoon's
Yeah.
Campaign. I think I guess Going Berserk. I don't necessarily remember that. He was in Splash. Um, was in a music video for Ghostbusters. Um, there's the Last Polka, which was a TV movie. I always feel like every one of his like mediocre movies, he did
Yeah.
Brewster's Millions, fucking classic. Summer Rental, which I think is actually good. Volunteers, which
Yeah.
is probably one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies. And then a bunch of TV stuff, and then
Mhm.
Armed and Dangerous, which I fucking love. Little Shop of Horrors, Spaceballs, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. She's having a baby. Sesame Street, Put Down the Ducky. Um,
Mhm.
classic.
I
Great.
I
Yeah.
I actually I love Delirious. Have you watched Delirious anytime recently?
No, no, I haven't.
It's I mean it's a dumb like 80s 90s comedy that so easily with like 1 degree of change could have been like a Spike Jonze movie.
Yeah.
It shares a lot of DNA actually with adaptation. Um, Basically he plays like a soap opera, the head writer on a soap opera who's in
Oh
love
yeah.
with the lead
Yeah.
the lead actress, and he gets hit on the head and ends up like in his dreams he's in the show,
Yeah. Yeah, I
but
remember. Yeah.
can still script the show, like can sit in his hotel room and write the events around him.
And he
Uh,
remembers, he realizes like it's basically what is it? Was it when you're like controlling your dreams?
yeah, I can't remember,
I forget
but
what that's
yeah,
called.
exactly. He knows it, like he knows what's going on the whole time. The biggest threat to him happens when like somebody who doesn't know that he's controlling it through his magic typewriter shoots the typewriter, and it's like, oh no, now what?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but uh, but just a really dumb, really fun movie that had a really big idea behind it that you kind of didn't notice how meta and smart the idea was because of the execution, because of the time period.
Yeah.
Um, but you watch it like today and you're like, oh, yeah, this is a lot like Groundhog Day and adaptation and all these things that we take a little more seriously.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, growing up, Candy was one of my favorites. I watched The Great Outdoors like
Yeah.
a million times as a kid.
Same.
Uh, it's one I haven't rewatched in a while because I suspect it might not hold up. But the I just remember, when you're a kid, you have your very specific, like narrow worldview, and it's like my favorite movies were like these 5 or 6 movies, and so it's like you don't know that not everybody else in the world thinks Who's Harry Crumb is a classic,
Yeah.
and so you don't know as a child that like John Candy isn't the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
'Cause I remember seeing The Great Outdoors and being like, holy shit, the guy from Harry Crumb and the guy from Ghostbusters in the same movie. This movie must have made
Yeah,
$1 billion.
yeah, right.
You know? Uh,
I mean, based on the number of times that I rented it, it should have,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Or at least saw it on TV. I'm trying to remember whether we had the VHS of that. I feel like that definitely should have been one that we had a beta or a VHS for.
we
So
very quickly got to the stage when I was a kid where we would just record rentals.
yeah,
Um, and so like we had like, especially as I got a little older and my parents were making a little bit more money, we would have more commercially recorded VHS tapes in the house.
yeah,
But as a kid, I remember walking around with like all three Back to the Future movies on one 6-hour VHS.
yeah.
Um,
That's one thing I'm so depressed about on the scale of the
yeah,
so depressed. The next lead in was just like makes it feel like I'm lighting it. Like my aunt passed away,
mhm.
who basically is the person who um like introduced me to movies and made
Yeah.
me this terrible this broken person who like has There's like just piles of movie posters behind me. There's boxes of DVDs and VHS and Betamax tapes now because I inherited, like, obviously no one else in my family wanted it, but I inherited it. Um and and she had, in the heyday of like physical media, she had a collection that would rival like a small town independent video store. I mean, it was insane. And a lot of it, like I still remember, my grandfather and her used to go to a bunch of auctions and things like that. And she came home one time. She came back to us, came over to our house, and she's like, "Yeah, we got an auction, and it was like 300, mostly VHS tapes, and mostly just some estate guy who was taping movies off of,
Yeah.
I don't think it was off of TV because I don't remember like ads and stuff like that in it,
Right.
unfortunately, for that the no mold guy,
Yeah.
on TikTok. Not that I have most of those. I think I have a couple of them left, but I don't know where all of them went. She must have chucked them, but like that makes me so sad because this is like there's just so many movies, and like the original cuts of things and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like I have, I've got. It's on because I'm broke right now. Not shockingly, it's on, unfortunately, on eBay. If you want a Betamax copy of The Thing, which I guess is worth a ton of money, I did not know this. It's on there for $375, which it's currently the lowest lowest one on eBay. um, but I'm just like, I don't. Embarrassingly, I don't even own a Betamax player right now. So,
No, I haven't had one in
I
years. I
did.
actually,
Unfortunately, Denise got rid of them too, which I was like, "What are you doing?"
it's funny
Just
because the
yeah,
one that I had as a kid is apparently one of the most popular American models.
yeah,
And so on eBay, there's like a working one that's exactly the one I had as a kid.
yeah.
It's like 150 bucks. And I've been watching it forever. And it's just like, I don't know when I'm going to have 150 bucks to piss away on something like that. Like, and
I'm selling 4K discs that I accidentally bought,
right.
like, and also a couple ones that I'm just like, okay, eventually I'll have a 4K player, and I'm just like, I'm not going to drop 150 to $250 on a 4K player in the near future. I
Right.
don't have that many discs. My Blu-ray player is perfectly fine. My
Yeah.
TV, my 40-inch Roku TV is not,
Yeah.
like it's not like anything, but it's just like it's killing me because like, oh shit, my copy of Children of Men, I accidentally I told you this, like I
Yeah.
went on a binge during I don't know if it was during COVID or when it was. But like I went on a binge and accidentally bought a bunch of Region B movies
Mhm.
and
Oh,
European
yeah.
region, and I don't have any way to play these things. And I remember I've just been confused. I'm like, why aren't these playing? And I wasn't really paying attention to whatever, which is, embarrassing considering all we do is, talk about physical media. And I didn't
Yeah.
notice, but I remember a friend coming over. I'm trying to remember if it was Tremors or um another film, and Satanic Panic or something like that. I forget what it was. And I was just like, why isn't this playing? I don't understand. And then finally I gave up on it. And yeah, we ended up having to watch it on streaming, which sucked,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Um, yeah, I'm in the middle of like reworking everything in the house. We inherited a bunch of furniture and so I have this beautiful like hardwood entertainment center. So if you've been to my house, which of course everybody listening has, um, the TV because it was so
That's
big.
by the way, that's at the $15 a month donation level on the
Exactly.
Patreon.
Exactly.
Um,
But for the last however many years, we've had the TV in the corner, and we had to like supplement the shelf in the corner with like a little triangle of plywood
yeah,
because like it was the shelf that it was on was too small for this huge TV.
yeah,
I mean, not huge, huge, but it was like it's like 52 inches, and the shelf is a bookshelf.
yeah.
Um, but so we got this entertainment center, and it's like, oh, we're fancy now. We can get rid of the plywood. Um, but also it's like, oh, now there's drawers for like all the video game controllers and the remote controls and stuff
Yeah,
like that, so that they're not just piled up in a giant heap of cables in front of
yeah.
the TV.
Russ, you have kids, they'll be piled up still.
That's Although my daughters really like the fact that if they put stuff, if people put stuff back in the cabinet, they can find the remote control.
There. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but in any event, like I can't remember what that. I was like, oh yeah, the shelving, and oh, it's just I'm reworking, and it's just like you get struck by like how much stuff and how many DVDs, and it's like
Yeah.
I have a pile over there of the first 12, I think, seasons of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And it's just like I obviously like I'm not gonna get rid of them because like they have commentary and deleted scenes and all these
Yeah.
things that aren't on the digital releases.
Yeah.
But also you're just like I'm building my Plex server so that I can share my movies with my like around throughout the house and so that my friends can log in and watch like Bob
Yeah.
Roberts or something. So and I'm just like, when am I ever gonna get around to digitizing 210 discs of The Simpsons? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I know. I know we were just having the same conversation. We were having this conversation earlier because there's a bunch, obviously, just like a bunch of Blu-ray stuff that I was also gonna sell because I'm like,
Um,
I don't know why, like, or like there's a bunch of Blu-ray stuff that like was like very much niche. My aunt, like British, she was very much into like
yeah.
British like mystery shows, and I'm like, I just don't, they're not in my thing.
Mhm.
And already my limited space
Yeah.
that I have. I mean, like this is I bought these three bookshelves and immediately they're all filled up with like I still have a bunch more books like in storage that they fill up. And then I have a whole bunch of things in my living room that, as well, I have a one bedroom apartment. It's not like I have the space for it. And as we're all talking about, it's just like DVD, like a proper DVD shelving is just monstrously expensive.
Yeah.
Which I swear, like if I had a wood shop, I would just yeah, that would be my side business is just building those and like making them somehow. But because it's like it was a weird complaint. I guess I don't know if you saw there was some like physical media guy, I think it was on Twitter, maybe
Mhm.
TikTok as well. And he was just like he had all of his DVDs out in boxes and he's just like they're all going. And it was like just a joke about like
Yeah.
he's just changing out the shelves and he had the same problem where it's just like I bought all these shelves. I spent like $1,500 on shelves because he had
Yeah.
5,000 films or whatever. And it's just like they don't work. They just simply do not work. They don't look good and they don't work. And it's just like it's the same thing where it's just like I can't believe I'm paying like the only option is Amazon and it's like $150 for a DVD case or Blu-ray case that holds like 150 discs. And
Yeah.
it's just like okay,
I
well
will
that
say,
yeah,
again, not sponsored, obviously, but check out Solder.
yeah.
Um, their stuff is marginally better quality than Amazon. It's not great, but like they um their stuff is like twice as expensive as Amazon, but they have very frequent buy one get one sales.
Hmm,
Um,
nice.
and so it's a higher quality thing. It's about the same price, and you're not dealing with Amazon.
Yeah,
Um, so like I got the ones that are in this room. I got two of them for like $128.
nice.
And like I said, they're still like they're those ones where it's like it's real wood for the
Mhm.
frame and for the top and bottom shelf, and then particle board for the other three shelves or
Yeah.
whatever. But like it's better than like exclusively particle board.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I mean,
it's
I just always find it insane. That's insane. It's wildly expensive to buy like these bookcases from IKEA. They're
mm,
6 feet tall,
mhm,
fantastic, easy to put together. Obviously they're, IKEA particle board type of
yeah,
thing, but they were like, it's like $68 or something like that for them.
it's
Like
crazy.
you go online to try to find like the DVD equivalent that's just more shallow. Like
Yeah,
it's just basically half the bookshelf. For some reason, they're
yeah.
$175. It's always like,
Well, and
what is going
that's
on?
like I got that. I mean, IKEA clearly like has their corner of the market completely
Yeah.
because like I have that glass case that I have all my Arrowverse
Hmm.
statues. And I think you picked it up for me
Yeah.
on the way back because it was one of those things where I think you paid like $59 for
Yeah.
it at
Yeah.
IKEA. Um, or I could have had IKEA deliver it for 310.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have the exact same one because I think I accidentally I bought one and then forgot it and then ended up buying another
Oh
one.
yeah,
So,
that's
so I
right.
forget something happened with it. And I was
Forgot.
just like, it has all my old cameras in it or whatever. It's
Well,
fantastic, but it's
not that anybody but us cares about
yeah.
this, but just to validate your memory,
Mhm.
what happened was that you bought it and you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring this down on Wednesday or whatever," and then you left. You got like halfway here
Yeah,
and realized you didn't have it,
yeah, yeah.
and then it was like, instead of disappointing me, you just bought another one.
I mean, I
Uh,
ended up, I mean, like it's great for camera stuff because it
yeah, oh
like
yeah,
it puts everything in one spot as opposed to like having like a bunch of random cameras and like
yeah,
having them get damaged or something like that or whatever. A bunch of like cameras that aren't worth anything because I bought
yeah.
them at like a thing. But yeah,
So
what
yeah,
have you had a chance? I don't think you've had a chance. I think we've had this conversation before. Have you had a chance to see Eenie Meanie on
I
Hulu?
haven't yet. No,
Oh,
I want to because
it's
like,
I'm a Sam Weaving fan from
yeah, yeah,
Ready or Not and oh my God, what's the it's not Antichrist, it's God, she has a great new film that came out a couple, well, not new but came out a couple months ago
yeah.
as well. But Emini's super fun. She plays a really great driver, to like getaway driver,
Mm,
and I don't know if I want to say it is a lot of fun. It's got like a no spoilers, but it's got some like, oh, holy shit, I can't believe this film went that way,
yeah,
type of things. And like, I'm happy to see her get, I guess like, I don't know, but it's not more mainstream because it's direct to Hulu or whatever,
right.
but like just like a random character that like anyone can, I don't know about anyone can play, but like a, random woman can play in a
Yeah,
thing as opposed to Scream Queen
yeah.
only. Which like everything else I've seen of hers for the most part has been vaguely in that genre, especially since
Except Bill
Ready or
and Ted.
Not. What's that?
I said except for Bill and Ted.
Fair, yes.
But yeah, but
Yeah,
no, I
but
agree
especially
with you.
starring, I mean, like starring roles and that type of thing. But like this was a lot of super fun. She like sells the driver thing, and she definitely like really holds the film together because it's a little there's a little like it would be like a throw if it wasn't her, I think. It would just be like, oh, okay, that's a film that came out on
Yeah, it's
Hulu.
fun. There we go.
But like this one, I'm just like, oh, damn, I actually would really have loved to seen that in theaters,
Yeah.
because it does a really good job with things. But I
What's
highly recommend it's on
funny?
Hulu. Yeah,
What's funny is that because it got no promotion at all.
yeah, yeah,
It's called Eenie Meenie, and she's Samurai Weaving.
yeah.
I honestly, like, in my brain, I kept like, and I know this is not true, but in my brain, I kept being like, "Oh, it's a Ready or Not sequel," because like
Yeah,
it just
fair.
sounds like the same,
Which she's currently filming, so
yeah. But she
yeah,
is making a sequel. That's part of probably part of it.
yeah,
Um, I'm actually I'm glad she's doing the sequel because she was so damn good in the first one.
yeah.
But on the other hand, it does feel like a franchise that almost should be a distinct story every time. Like, I don't know how you carry on her story.
Yeah.
Um, like,
There's another like so I've like specifically stayed away from
yeah, yeah,
I don't know how I'm possibly gonna not like once the trailer drops, I'll
yeah.
obviously end up watching it, but um there's another woman in the film, so I'm
Hmm.
like wondering if it's like I don't know what it could possibly be, but I'm like
Right.
I'm fascinated because like supposedly everybody else is still involved, right? It's all the same people, I
I think
think.
so.
This is how much I've stayed away from. Actually, I don't want to actually check.
I believe it's still radio silence anyway. I don't know if there are any returning actors, anything like that. It's
Oh, I
probably
mean, it's still the same directing team, right?
yeah, radio silence.
Oh,
That's
Radio Silence. Yeah.
um
Um,
I can never remember their real names, so it's helpful that they have a silly handle that they.
yeah. Um, but I don't know. I'm the fact
Well,
that it's
I mean, I'm
them.
very excited for it, and like I said, the only reason I like had any kind of hesitation at all is because I'm like, the premise itself. It's like it's gonna be you're gonna have to twist yourself like a pretzel to figure out why it makes sense for her to be back in that situation.
Yeah,
Um, but you could very easily make it like a Final Destination kind of thing where like this is a force of the universe and you beat it, so it's
oh,
mad.
this does actually have a killer cast though.
Oh, nice.
Obviously Sam Weaving, that's enough. Sarah
Yeah.
Michelle Gellar, Elijah Wood,
Oh,
um, David Cronenberg, which is wild. Um, and yeah, those the names I recognize immediately. Um, but yeah, that's promising. Um, that'd actually be very cool if it turns out to be they figure out some way to do like a Freddy or a
Yeah,
kind of like franchise or something like that where she
yeah,
I don't know what she would be. But like that, like her having the same kind of um having like that level of scream queen. It's by
yeah.
the way, the other film that I was talking about is Azrael,
Oh,
um,
yeah, I
which
do remember that.
oddly is like it's a silent world and kind of it's a post-apocalyptic thing, and it's a silent world, so she isn't screaming all the time. That's which is funny. So like I actually dug that because it was just like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Um, One other, by the way, trailer I wanted to touch on real quick because we've talked about Bruce a ton is they dropped a trailer today for his new box set, which like by the end of this year, Springsteen will have released 12 records worth of
I
material
know, right?
because he had the 7 disc box set before, or the seven album box set before, which I think is actually 10 records. Um, and then he's doing a box set called Nebraska 82, which it's timed obviously to coincide with the release of Deliver Me from Nowhere, a
Yeah.
movie about the making of Nebraska. Um, and it's going to feature a newly restored version of the original Nebraska record, a Blu-ray of him playing the entire album front to back in April 2025 at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey, and then the outtakes, like a bunch of Nebraska outtakes that have mostly never been released before,
Hmm.
and Electric Nebraska. And the thing about Electric Nebraska, if you're not a big Springsteen fan, like it's impossible to communicate the scope of how what a big deal it is to hardcore Springsteen fans that Electric Nebraska is coming out
Hmm.
because um so when Springsteen first uh wrote the songs that would end up being the two albums, Nebraska and Born in the USA, um they were making Born in the USA, they were making a band album. Um, and he goes in and they play a handful of things, they get them locked down. And so there's some tracks that ended up on Born in the USA that were recorded pretty early. But Springsteen had a bunch of these songs that he had like recorded in his little like on a little prosumer recorder in his apartment. Um, because he was like renting this house to try to like get away from celebrity.
Hmm.
And whenever they played these songs that he recorded on this little prosumer tape, he wasn't happy with how they were coming out as a band album. And so the movie that you're going to see in October centers around this period where he's having like a nervous breakdown for all intents and purposes, like just for unrelated things, not a nervous breakdown brought on by the record, but like um, mental health crisis. And then
Yeah.
also at that same time, he's making this what was supposed to be one record and became two, Born in the USA, Nebraska. And the Nebraska album famously, at one point, somebody's just like, look, man, I think the album is that stupid tape that you've been carrying around in your pocket. Like, basically, somebody had to sit him down and be like, I don't think that you're ever going to be happy with anything we make in the studio.
Yeah.
I think you have to release the thing you recorded in your living room.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And but along the way, they did play many of the songs from Nebraska with the full band.
Yeah.
And as far as Springsteen was aware, those tracks had been destroyed years and years and years ago. Um, and nobody else thought that. Like everybody in the band was like, "Oh yeah, those tracks exist somewhere."
Mhm.
And so he did a earlier this year. He did an interview with somebody at Rolling Stone, and it was basically like, "Hey, will you finally release Electric Nebraska because the movie's coming out?" And Springsteen was like, I mean, I'd release it if it existed. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Um, and then the guy from Rolling Stone's like, that's not what Max Weinberg and Steve Van Zandt say. And so Springsteen went back and like dug through the vault and found the tapes.
Yeah.
And Like there's literally like there is somebody there's a girl on Instagram whose handle is Show a Little Faith. She's like 22 and fell in love with Springsteen like in the last 2 to 5 years. And her like followed him around on on the last tour. Um, and she had posted like a text message Springsteen sent to the Rolling Stone reporter. That was like, "Oh, hey, look at that! I found it." Um, and uh, and that was in like June.
Yeah.
And so the turnaround from like Springsteen himself realizing this thing actually exists
Yeah.
to it being a record that we can buy
Yeah.
is 4 months, which like is kind of crazy, but much crazier when you realize it's 43 years old. Like it's
Yeah.
sat in the
Yeah.
box for 43 years and
Also,
like
as Springsteen fans, like how long and like how, because I mean, like Springsteen is famously neurotic about, uh, in my opinion,
yeah,
overproducing,
yeah,
his albums, and like, which is why, again, like I think he's always better live.
yeah,
Um, but and why Nebraska is like my second favorite album.
yeah.
Um, and and so it's just like that's shocking because
Yeah.
like I can't believe he didn't sit and tinker. I'm hoping that like everybody else was like, okay, guys. I hope like the rest of the band's like, look it, we're all getting up in age. Like we need to sell this stuff
I,
now if we're ever
honestly,
gonna do it.
I kind of think that's what's going on in general. Like
Mhm.
Tracks 2 came out and it was this
Yeah,
massive fucking box set with a book and all this other
yeah.
stuff. And now you got this Nebraska thing. Springsteen's already said he's got plans to do Tracks 3 in 2027, I think it is.
Mhm.
And his next tour is going to be a solo acoustic tour, I guess, because he's got a solo record coming out.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, they have another E Street album that's almost done, supposedly, so it's going to be apparently a very productive handful of years.
yeah.
But like, my guess is that now that he sold his catalog,
Mhm.
um, that Springsteen wants to release all this stuff so that he can release it on his terms.
Mhm.
Because if he can put it out in a way that he's reasonably happy with, then Sony doesn't just dump it all on iTunes as
Yeah,
like vomit
yeah,
in, when he dies. And so it wouldn't surprise me
yeah,
at all if that's the point of
yeah.
some of what's going on here.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm just like in my head, I'm like, oh, he's doing what Taylor Swift did.
Yeah,
Not really, but yeah.
but so like in my mind, I think that's why we're getting so much stuff this year and why we're getting so much stuff in the next little bit, because I think a lot of it boils down to now that he doesn't own the the rights,
Yeah,
it's like, well, this stuff's all going to come out at some point. I might as well have a hand in it.
yeah.
Um, but I'm very excited about Electric Nebraska. I mean, I'm excited about the whole box set. What's funny is Springsteen, like his early stuff, um, the like Paramount, Columbia leaked like a sieve. Like, he just like 2 weeks ago released Lonely Night in the Park, which is a song that he recorded for the Born to Run album. Um, and it was a song that Springsteen loved. He wanted to put on the record, and one of the two guys who produced the record with him just fucking hated it. There's a book that came out recently called Tonight in Jungle Land. It's about the making of the record, and even in like 2022, when they were doing the interviews for the book, Mike Appel was like, "They'll release that fucking song over my dead body." Um, but so that song finally came out like 2 weeks ago because of the 50th anniversary of Born to Run.
Mhm.
Um, but like all of and so the casual fans on the subreddit were like, holy crap, is there more? Is there more stuff from Born to Run that we've never heard?
Yeah,
And it's like not really. Um, Partly because like they just didn't record a ton of extra songs for that record, but also because everything leaked at some
yeah.
point. Like there was this collection of CDs called Bruce Springsteen: The Lost Masters that I had in college,
Mhm.
and it was like there was like four CDs that were just alternate versions of Born to Run, alternate versions of Jungle Land, alternate versions of Backstreets. It was just like, here's the one with all the strings. Here's the one with Springsteen singing harmony with himself on Born to Run. Here's all this kind of stuff
Yeah,
because they tried everything. Like that record famously was in production forever, and so like there's not only are there not that many extra tracks, but also like everything that they recorded for Born to Run had already leaked 40 years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's kind of this weird little miracle that like Electric Nebraska just somehow stayed in the, because like even Born in the USA, like there's a
yeah.
bunch of tracks that were cut off Born in the USA that leaked in the 80s. Again, I had a bootleg CD in college called Murder Incorporated
Mm.
that was like an early version of Born in the USA, where
Yeah,
like I think Held Up Without a Gun was on there and Murder Incorporated and maybe Blood Brothers or something.
yeah,
Um, no, not Blood Brothers, because that one was anyway. Point being, like like all of that stuff leaked years and years ago. And so to me, like I always kind of assumed like why would anybody throw out those tapes? But I did figure that Electric Nebraska was not in a releasable shape
yeah,
because with Springsteen saying that he didn't think it existed and all the leaks that had happened over the years,
yeah.
it made sense to me that like if these things existed in a releasable form, somebody would have leaked them by now.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned it earlier and you're like very excited about it, I was like, it I felt like it was just part of, I mean, like there's so many
Yeah,
bootlegs, there's so many
yeah,
like released, actually officially released stuff, and I'm just like, okay, I just didn't pay attention to it
yeah,
when it was previously unofficially or kind of a shitty, a drop,
yeah,
just like, oh, back in the 80s or something they dropped it,
yeah,
or 90s they dropped it. And because I'm like, it's not the electric version of a
yeah,
fantastic, specifically acoustic, it's just like I'm
yeah.
kind of good, but
I will say
yeah.
the outtakes record that they're putting out. There's I think three tracks on there that have already been commercially released.
Hmm.
The Big Payback, which was on the Essential Bruce Springsteen a few years back.
Hmm.
Um, the original acoustic demo of Born in the USA, which was the first one
Yeah.
on like the one on the Nebraska tapes. Um, and like it's I think it's going to be really interesting listening to, and again, like I kind of want to do not as part of ECV, but as its own like standalone podcast. I kind of want to make like a mini series where I just go deep into depth on all the tracks releases that
Yeah.
came out this year.
Yeah.
Um, because I think it's going to be super, super interesting to look at the Nebraska outtakes and Electric Nebraska alongside one of the seven albums that came out on the Tracks 2 box set earlier this year is these garage sessions that happened in between Nebraska and Born in the USA. And they all have that kind of tinny, echoey sound that a lot of the songs in Nebraska had.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like what happened is that once he got over whatever was going on with his inability to move past the tape, that
Hmm.
he recorded some stuff trying to recapture the Nebraska vibe,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't 100%, so he didn't put it out.
Yeah.
But
Makes
like
sense.
some pretty good songs on there, including some that like have been released in other forms.
Yeah.
And like there's an alternate version of My Hometown on there that I really like. Like basically imagine if My Hometown was on Nebraska.
Yes.
Um so anyway, there's a trailer out there. You can check some of that out. There's a at a bare min there's also they released the original electric version of Born in the USA, which is
Yeah.
it's like a driving guitar anthem instead of the synths. And it's more like it's if you ever heard the original like the acoustic demo, or if you've ever heard him do it acoustic and on tour on the 12 string acoustic, it's got that kind of vocal delivery instead of the one you know from the record.
Yeah.
But with electric guitars and Gary Talent on bass and Max Weinberg on drums. And so like it's pretty cool, and that you can hear in the trailer for the full album, there's like an alternate version of Atlantic City. You only hear it for like 3 seconds, but it very much sounds like, oh shit, like that's a version of Atlantic City that could have been on Born in the USA. There's synths and it's
Yeah.
so it's really like I think it's going to be a really interesting like I'm excited about the record, but also I think it's going to be a really interesting way to look at as a scholar, quote unquote, kind of sit down and look at like these like 18 months of output between Nebraska, the 82 garage sessions, the Nebraska outtakes, Electric Nebraska, and Born in the USA. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a whole book to be written just like sitting down with those records, and they're all coming out within 6 months of each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's yeah, it's gonna be it's wild. I continually hope I probably like ranted about this before on this album. Like we've had so many like Stevie Nicks, like so many people have gotten their kind of like very famous, like
yeah.
people that like exist in the pantheon of like greatest
Mhm.
rock musicians and singers and everything like that. People don't need to like, oh, they never got their shot or whatever
Yeah.
type of thing, you know? Like it's not like Stevie Nicks like really, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe money wise, I don't know, but like history and music history as in, like their place. But like Springsteen, it like I feel like hasn't gotten that. Like I've always thought that like one time Taylor Swift is gonna play some Springsteen song because it honestly to me it always made sense, especially when she was a little bit more country. Um, that there was like that crossover.
Yeah.
Um, and because he's because he's played, I think he's played a couple, he's at least played one or two. Um, and then it was gonna like hit, and then like, oh, the very young generation would discover Springsteen, and
Yeah.
like kind of a revival would end up happening. But I'm just like, I'm just shocked that that hasn't happened because there has been like a lot of big bands that have like either brought him on stage or like played
Mhm.
with him or like done like some, you know, big covers of him, and but it like never really happened. And it's very interesting to watch because there's a, you know, a very large, I don't know about very large, but there's a very loud subset on online that anytime you mention Bruce Springsteen, it's like this adamant he's overrated, he sucks
Mhm.
at every, you know, bad singing, bad guitar and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, is he the most amazing singer? I mean, like, is he, you know, is he Jimi Hendrix on the guitar? Is
Yeah.
he, you know, like anything? It was just like, are we talking about Bob Dylan? Like, I mean, are we talking about like who are we talking? I mean, like, I just it was like when we talk about those things, it's like no, like Taylor Swift is not that talented of a singer. She's not that talented of a musician. It's the vibe. I'm not like her biggest fan, but like it's the vibe you can't deny. You
Well, and
know,
it's also like the thing that Swift and Springsteen both
yeah,
have is kind of a holistic package.
hmm
Like they're good at everything. They're
yeah,
not necessarily great at any one thing,
yeah,
but you have this kind of holistic. I mean, I would argue that Springsteen at least is great as a songwriter.
yeah.
I don't know enough of Taylor Swift stuff to say much
I mean, I
about
think like
it.
again, like I mean, again, like I always can look at like what I like and what I can respect. Be like
Yeah.
for what Taylor Swift is, she is fantastic at it. Very
Mhm.
clearly, she's a fucking billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, you know, and she's gone through it to me like the right way. She's paid her workers well. She's, you
Yeah.
know, done the things. She had to buy her album, you know, buy her things back and recover
Mhm.
that and like really built a fan base and cultivated it in such a way. Um and but like I don't know. I don't, you know, again, there's a couple
Yeah.
songs that like she is undeniably good at writing the
Yeah.
catch that like I can still there's a handful of ones that I'm like you start playing that song I know it even though I've only listened
Yeah.
to it
Yeah.
3 times, you know, or whatever, heard it in the background or whatever. She's
Right. Yeah.
fantastic at that, so like you can't take that away from her. I mean there's so many pop, you know, pop bands, you know, singular pop musicians who are like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's you know, but yeah, but yours like you're saying like it's very much it's like there's kind of a we would
The
say
whole
now a
package kind of
brand,
going on it.
you know,
Yeah.
a package. Yeah, yeah,
I will say too, just because we've talked about the Swift a bit, another thing that I wrote about on the website that came out very recently, like I think last week, is John Fogerty has a new record out called Legacy,
yeah.
um, where he basically just re-records CCR's Chronicle. I mean, that's not 100% true. There's like a couple of songs that are swapped out,
Yeah,
but it's it's simultaneously kind of this inspiring story of him. He finally got his rights back and all this kind of stuff. And also just like John Fogerty is just the king of spite because like at a certain point you have to assume he's doing this just so that the other members of the band don't get their share of the royalties anymore.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but like if you don't know the story of CCR, obviously one of the most they were incredibly prolific over a short period of time in the late 60s, early 70s. They made some enormous hits that you've definitely heard in terms of Proud Mary, Down on the Corner, Heard It Through the Grapevine, Fortunate Son, and
If you've
the
ever watched a Vietnam era war film, you've heard
yeah.
this song.
Well, especially because like they got screwed over big time by the record company. They
Mhm.
negotiated just a terrible deal. And then because the band broke up before they had a chance to renegotiate, they were stuck with this terrible deal forever, basically.
Oh.
And the guy who owned that record label was also a film producer.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh.
Saul Zentz, I think is. He produced Amadeus, The English Patient, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, okay.
Um, Ironically, much of his fortune was built on screwing over Creedence Clearwater Revival because the record company didn't have that many other big
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
But he over the life of the band, the band and Fogerty sued one another a bunch of times. The band and Zantz, whatever his name is, the guy who owned the record label, sued each other a bunch. At one point, Fogerty released a solo song that Saul Zaentz thought was too similar to a Creedence song that he owned the rights to, so he sued John Fogerty for plagiarizing himself.
Yeah.
And Fogerty had to like go to court and play the songs for the jury and show that they were different songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's just like the there's so much bad blood, and like uh Fogerty's brother was one of
So
the other.
tying it back to Taylor Swift, there's Bad Blood, one
Yeah,
might
there you
say. Yeah,
go.
there you go. Yeah. No.
That is so much better than because I as soon as I mentioned his brother, I'm like, oh, that's a terrible, unfortunate pun because his
Yeah. Yeah.
brother died from complications of from HIV from a blood transplant he got during a back
Jesus.
surgery.
Yeah.
Um, but like his brother died in 1991, and John and Dan Fogerty never made up. Um,
Fuck.
at the funeral, John Fogerty delivered a eulogy where he said, "We always wanted to be rock stars when we grew up. Well, we got to be rock stars, but we never grew up." Um,
Mhm.
and it's just like one of those things where you're just like, God, what a. But like the new record's really fascinating. There's some tracks that are undeniably worse, obviously, 50 years later. There's some that I actually like better. Run Through the Jungle, I think it was,
Mhm.
um, is so much more ominous now. Like people have used that song in horror movies and stuff over the
Yeah.
years, but like it's genuinely creepy on the new record. Like it's like Fogerty went out of his way to make it that way.
Yeah.
Um, but it's at a bare minimum, it's the kind of thing that's worth checking out on Spotify or YouTube Music or whatever because like I think it's fascinating to see how like the evolution is for these songs, and also because I personally again leaving aside the fact that like he seems to be potentially releasing this basically to fuck over his bandmates, and there's so much spite like going back
Yeah.
50 years between everybody. Um,
Yeah.
they're like there is at least on some base level like the Taylor Swift story there, where it's like he outlasted Saul Zaentz, and when the new people bought the record label, like they were like, "Okay, John, we want a relationship with you. What can we do to fix it?"
Yeah.
And over time, like what eventually actually happened is that they figured out that like after 56 years, he'd be able to terminate the copyright transfer and he
Yeah.
would get it back for free.
Yeah.
And so his wife was like, okay, so what if we bought it now? And so the record company gets something
Yeah.
and we get, 5, 6 extra years with these songs while John is still able to perform publicly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like they figured out terms and they made it work. And I'm like, that's a really cool story. And
Yeah.
again, like the fact that he re-released all these songs as John's version, it's like very obviously like
Yeah. Yeah. No.
looking
Yeah.
to Taylor Swift as the like
Yeah.
model for how to but again it is slightly different because really the record label like he had terrible animosity with the record label for 45 years or whatever,
Yeah.
but like the new owners have seemingly done right by him. I know the first thing that they did because they wanted to reestablish the relationship is that they um started paying him royalties
Mhm.
because he in order when Creedence broke up they still had 8 records on their contract.
Yeah.
And so, in order to get out of that contract, he basically gave up rights and royalties.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, it was like, I'm going to give up. tens or hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 50 years to not be beholden to you for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so like when the new owners came on and they were like, we're going to start paying you royalties again just because it's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
it was like,
Well, I mean, it's also one of those like if you can have the guy sell the
oh yeah, for
product,
sure.
I would 100% be like, okay, we'll throw you some cash so
Yeah,
that like the because I mean like there's only so many Vietnam movies being made
yeah,
these days, and there's so like it's not like there's a lot of music that they can sell to like car commercials,
yeah.
or whatever, So
I
like yeah, that makes sense.
I also noticed that because post Credence he's kept all of the rights and like all the rights, all the masters, as far as I know, Fogerty owns everything. And so part of the reason he's wealthy enough to still buy the Credence rights back is because like, you know, center field is worth $10 million a year alone.
Mhm.
Um, that song is in the Hall of Fame. Uh,
Yeah.
and like the baseball Hall of Fame, not rock and
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so like I noticed that legacy is like it's legacy in big letters, and then in the corner it's like the Creedence Clearwater Revival years. And all I can think is like, are you gonna do a solo years? Are you gonna re-record like the shit off of center field and a couple of the other like whatever other hits he had? Frankly, like I, I love Deja Vu all over again, which he did. It was the like his way of doing a sequel to Fortunate Son during the Bush years.
Yeah.
Um, but like I can't think of a hit that he had in between the center field album and Deja Vu all over
Yeah,
again. It's
no.
like there's like a 20-year dead zone.
Yeah.
But in any event,
No, no.
that's another like we've done a lot of music talk today, but like uh the Taylor Swift connection made it feel like I should mention the Fogerty thing. I
Yeah.
feel like there was one more thing I wanted to talk about today, and I cannot for the life. Oh, they're making a Superman sequel.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
which feels like just a thing to talk about briefly. Like James Gunn the other day released an image on social media showing Lex Luthor wearing his green and purple battle armor,
Yeah.
standing next to a version of Superman that looks like the one from the movie. The one that James Gunn posted was drawn by Jim Lee, who's the publisher of DC Comics and one of the biggest artists of the last 40 years in comic books.
Yeah.
Um, Nick Holt released a version of Superman and Luthor fighting with Luthor in the battle suit by Mitch Gerrits, who is the guy behind Mr. Miracle and the Adam Strange one, Strange Adventures,
Yeah.
and a lot of Tom King's Batman stuff and some other things like that. And then David Cornsweet released one by George Jimenez, who is the artist who most famously drew the Super Sons series when Superman first had a kid. Um, and so all we know, literally all we know, is that the working title is Man of Tomorrow, and that by all appearances, Lex is going to be um, in the battle armor for the movie.
Yeah.
That's led to a shitload of speculation about what it might be. Um, Kind of the obvious thing to speculate is that they're fighting Brainiac, not just because Brainiac is the guy who's almost been in every Superman sequel forever,
Yeah.
but also because, like, in the comics, there's a long history of bad blood between Brainiac and Luthor.
Yeah.
And so if there's anything that can make him, like, suit up and fight alongside Superman, it's the idea of Brainiac coming and trying to bottle Metropolis.
Yeah. 100%.
But the at a bare minimum, it seems as though the idea is that Lex is going to be the like main character in the movie.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because like James Gunn has gone out of his way to repeatedly say it's not Superman 2.
Yeah.
Superman plays a big role, but it's not a Superman movie per se.
Mm.
And so to me, it's like, okay, well, that suggests based on these pieces of art that like it's going to be from the perspective of Luthor with Superman as like the second lead.
Yeah.
Um, which I'm kind of Luthored out, but Holt was great in the role.
Yeah.
And if they can bring, like, obviously, if he's going to be wearing the battle suit and if he's going to be kind of an anti hero, it's a
Yeah.
very different approach to anything that we've seen like on the big screen with Lex.
Yeah.
And so and obviously, just like I said with a bunch of other things that I didn't have a ton of faith in going into Superman,
Yeah.
like Gunn has an unimpeachable track record as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I'm ready to like sit and wait and see how it comes out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one thing that's
Give him the pass. Yeah.
really one thing that's really interesting because like Gunn shoots fast and delivers on time
Hmm.
is that this movie is scheduled for July 9th, 2027,
Hmm.
which means that this summer we'll have Superman, next summer we'll have Supergirl,
Yeah.
and then the summer after that we'll have Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're gonna have a Superman movie every year for 3 years in a row, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, they're
That's
also
wild.
like it speaks to how safe I think they're playing it with the DC universe because the only other two movies that are currently on the DC universe theatrical slate is Clayface, which
Hmm.
is about a Batman villain. It's set in Gotham. It's directed by Mike Flanagan, and it's like a body horror movie because he's like a guy who gets soaked in chemicals and becomes a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Batman Part Two, which is obviously not part of the DC universe, but will be coming out under DC's Elseworlds line,
Yeah.
which is going to be coming out in October of 2027. And so, really, now that Superman's out, the sequence of theatrical movies is Metropolis, Gotham,
Yeah.
which to me like speaks to how conservative they're being in terms of like, okay, like we're gonna play the hits for a little while, we're gonna make sure people like us,
Yeah.
and then we can do a fucking Condiment King movie or whatever wacky thing James Gunn wants to do. You
I
know,
mean, I don't know. I mean, he's got his. I mean, like the TV show is so fantastic, and even the animated, which
Future
haven't,
Commandos.
I've
Yeah,
never really even gotten into that much about the like animated side kind of things. Like, I
yeah,
haven't watched any of the Marvel animated stuff, but like. But Peacemaker has been this season of Peacemaker has
mm,
been really fucking good
yeah,
so far. And I was really worried about the no spoilers, but like the last like two episodes with like there's I would say an Elseworld. It's not an Elseworld. It's a oh my God. The
multiverse.
the multiverse
Yeah,
of another Peacemaker world.
yeah,
And but like it's because I just kind of I'm really fucking done with that with it with else with multiverses.
yeah.
And
Flash just killed.
I for me it was like more the Marvel kind of just like the half-assedness and kind of the like oh I just I as much as I love seeing the, Tobey Maguire and
Yeah,
what's his
Garfield.
name come back, Andrew Garfield come back as Spider-Man. Um, I it was just so like everything felt like like the worst kind of version of fan service.
Mm,
But anyway, that's I've talked about that before. But like this has been really fantastic, really well written, and kind of like I love seeing this evolution of John Cena become like more and more like a
yeah,
real actor. And which is always it's always amazing. And also just like the stupid fun of it. I don't know if you've been watching it or not, but like there's this fantastic sequence where Eagly just beats the living shit out of a whole crew. And it's just like it was just so much fun. And but they've been able to walk that line of like just incredible, ridiculous fun and like, oh God, real serious kind of
yeah.
dark shit,
Well,
you
and they're
know.
also like they're using the multiverse in an interesting way, which
Yeah.
is basically it's they're using it almost like war flashbacks
Mhm.
because every like all of the multiverse stuff that they've tinkered in so far, it's not like they're going and traveling through time and doing a lot of wacky shit.
Yeah.
It's like he's essentially wrestling with the ghosts of his past.
Yeah.
And he's able to do that in a more literal way because these characters are alive. And so, like in the first season, there was a lot of like sitting around remembering terrible shit.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're physically interacting with not the same terrible shit, but like totems of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so to me, like that's one of those things. I'm super curious to see how far they're gonna take um the twist, this week's twist,
Yeah.
because like there's already speculation that like, oh, are we going to bring back this actor? Are we going to bring back this actor?
Yeah.
Because there's people from the Suicide Squad who are like alive and on camera now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like that's going to be a real interesting kind of space to explore because I don't think that they're gonna dig deep into the archives and bring back everybody. But
Yeah.
I do know he said that he wants to bring back Idris Elba.
Mhm.
I can't imagine a scenario where you recast Harley right now. So like if Harley's around, it's gonna be Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Um, and certainly there's been an implication that in those last three episodes you're gonna have a Superman cameo.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me because I do feel like we're they're doing a really good job of telling a standalone story that's not about the DC universe,
Yeah.
but peppering enough stuff in there that
Yeah.
you're like, okay, well, I'm interested to see how he plays into the larger
Yeah.
picture. I love, by the way, just fucking love the fact that after a year and a half of people running around like chickens with their heads cut off, wondering how he's gonna fix season one of Peacemaker,
Yeah.
that was just like previously on Peacemaker, and then you retcon the scene and fucking say
Yeah.
nothing about it and move on with your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I love that. That's so perfect.
Fuck it. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Yeah,
Basically, like other version of it. Yeah. No, it's like, but it's fascinating because it's like there's like the one obviously Marvel, in its heyday, just like 10 years ago, like it's in its heyday. In its like heyday of films, like, where it's just like making boatloads of money, but could never, but refused, since Feige refused to work with TV
yeah,
in that way and kept it so divided, he kind of fucked over television, which was ridiculous to always it was always ridiculous to me, because to me it was always like basically the way that Gunn is using it, which is like, oh, he can run this side thing, can pop in some,
yeah,
the fact that he kind of runs the whole show allows him to kind of, and also obviously, it's not on the CW network, it's on HBO. So
yeah.
like budgets or
Well,
whatever.
and
Although Peacemaker, like, I don't know, I'm looking at the budgets of Peacemaker versus, I'm sure the budget of Peacemaker is a lot more just because John Cena, I mean, big
yeah,
names, but like, Arrow and Flash or whatever, they don't look, it's not like the budgets,
yeah.
it
Well, I mean,
doesn't look bigger, at
at a
least.
bare minimum, like Superman and Lois, which famously
Mhm.
looked great. It's like Peacemaker doesn't look much better than Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
Like the one thing they have is they have a lot more practical effects and they have the ability to build sets that are deeper.
Yeah.
Like when I was at the Fortress of Solitude from Supergirl, it's like 6 feet deep
Yeah.
because like you're only shooting the piece that you're going to show because like every piece of foam ice costs money.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but like when you go to Krypton, which was a show for premium cable with a bigger budget,
Hmm.
I went to the Fortress of Solitude from Krypton, and it was bigger and more impressive than when I went to the Rock of Eternity from Shazam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like even Krypton, which is sci-fi, that's not HBO. So
Yeah.
like it's definitely a step above the CW, but it's definitely cheaper than HBO.
Yeah.
And like they had the capacity, if they wanted to focus their efforts and make something that rivaled a feature film.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure a lot of Peacemaker is just managing resources well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, you can tell like the most recent episode, like it's a lot of the set, already existing kind of set
yeah,
neighborhoods that like studios have and things like that.
yeah,
Um but and just like obviously reset dressed or whatever, because
mhm,
but yeah, no, I've been super happy with that. Obviously Creature Commandos is like, I fucking can't wait until the next season.
yeah,
Um, I will say a funny thing that I got to write in a caption for the Progressive magazine. I did a piece
yeah,
covering some veterans who were going out to the National Guardsmen in Washington D.C. and handing out little flyers saying, "Hey, here's how you can, if you don't want to if you don't want to do a fascism like you are
yeah,
now, you can call this number and get help on,
right,
basically disobeying a illegal, in your mind, illegal command
right.
or whatever." And one of the guys was wearing a GI robot shirt
Nice.
that says like something, I forget what it says, but it was like, yeah, obviously it says one of his phrases about wanting to
Yeah.
kill Nazis.
Right.
And like I wrote specifically wrote into the caption explaining about like who GI Robot was and why he
Yeah.
wanted to kill Nazis.
Nice.
And I'm just like, yes.
If I
Because
ever
it's
get
also
to,
the photo of him. It's like he's holding an upside down American flag, the guy is, and he's handing a flyer out to the guy. And it's very reminiscent of John Turturro in Cradle of Rock, where you're like, I'm
okay.
handing a leaflet. And that's all like when that happened, and I'm like, oh my God, what's the line? I'm inciting you. I'm a
Yeah.
riot. You're a riot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
all the
yeah.
shit that goes through my brain.
Such a great movie. I
Mm,
actually, that's one of those, like, I really still want, like, of the many book projects that I want
yeah.
to do. Like, I would love to, like, get to sit down with Tim Robbins for, like, a weekend and just talk about what I guess are going to be the only three movies he ever directs. Like, because, like, he seemed, I mean, he's done a couple other things. He did something for that 9/11 anthology and some shorts and some weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like really it's like he did Bob Roberts, he did Dead Man Walk, and he did Cradle to Rock.
Yeah.
And then it's like he hasn't really done that. He hasn't tried to make another feature since
Yeah.
then, as far as I know. And it's just like those are three really fucking good movies.
Yeah, yeah. Especially for the actor to director kind of thing,
Yeah,
which is like very rare that you hit that,
yeah,
excellent
yeah,
thing. And like Bob Roberts is just a fucking masterpiece, like out of the
yeah,
gate. Like I've never obviously I don't know if fucking a tough film to watch. I don't think it is. It's a
yeah,
film that I've never really understood. I guess it's so it especially in this era, like the last like 15 years or so, or 10, 12 years, where it's just like it's such a film that like would piss off anybody right of
yeah,
center that watches it because it's so blatantly making
yeah,
fun of people like Trump.
yeah,
And but way before Trump, was
yeah,
a political, well, I guess he was a political, but whatever, but like a mainstream middle political figure.
yeah,
But it's just, it's like I think it's almost everybody in that film's best performance. I think
yeah,
it's one of Tim's best performances out of all of his films,
yeah.
maybe
I mean,
outside of like Bull Durham.
it's that
But
was the movie where I just and I mean it's hard to say it's Giancarlo Esposito's best performance because like everything that fucking
yeah,
Esposito does is his best
yeah.
performance.
I think
But
there's like the other problem is that like there's not enough of him in the film. Like if it was more of
yeah,
him in the film, I could say. But yeah,
um, but
he
yeah,
sold that character so fucking well though. Like and didn't, and it's just like a hobo journalist kind of thing, and it's just
yeah,
like
yeah,
didn't play into that like with the fingers gloves and everything, and it just and didn't play it anyway. But we should
yeah, yeah,
we should go watch Bob Roberts again sometime
yeah.
soon and basically try to talk about it enough so it gets a goddamn fucking Blu-ray or 4K release. But yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts before we go to sleep? I know this has been kind of all over the place, but that was kind of the point.
My thing is, holy shit, if you're not watching the Aliens TV show, um,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The Earth.
it's been like every other episode so far has been absolutely fucking fantastic. Okay, it's going somewhere, and then absolutely fantastic, and then it's going
Yeah.
somewhere. And like, but it's just like this last episode was fucking like all of the things so great and such, and they're doing aliens in such a it feels so much like the original Aliens,
Hmm.
with no Flash, no whatever. I mean, the I forget what the series or the movie was, what it was called before the previous
Yeah,
film.
the one that just came out. I can't.
Yeah, like last year, like that was
Yeah.
fantastic. But like this is obviously a lower budget and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just like just people trying to deal with deal with like the billionaire or the trillion or whatever they are. They're beyond
Yeah.
billionaires. And also at the same time dealing with literal some and oh my God, the creatures in it.
Hmm.
Oh my God, so inventive. And like I love that they every single one of them, including like these little bugs. There's this eye creature. I don't know if you've watched it all. There's
I
this
haven't
one.
yet. No.
It's not a spoiler because it happens really quickly in the film
Yeah.
in the first episode, but I think it was the first episode. But there's an eye creature. It literally looks like an eye and has tentacles. And what it does is it attacks you, rips out your eye, replaces the eye, and then its tendrils basically take over you as a zombie thing. And oh my God, and it has like a level of intelligence. It's not just like it's trying to do something.
Right.
So it's just like it's so fucking good. Like, and it's so, and it has that like a little bit of the comic kind of like,
Hmm.
really good kind of like, I don't know about, it was a little bit of body horror, but like a
Yeah.
little bit of comic to it that like, I think
Which
the
that's what I was
original,
gonna say. That was a big part of the like of a lot of Cameron's
yeah,
early work is like Cameron, and he didn't do it in the like very look to the camera and wink way that Marvel
yeah,
does it. But a lot of Cameron's early work, whether it was Terminator or Alien, like Aliens, excuse me, was really great at kind of acknowledging the inherent absurdity
yeah,
in what's happening.
yeah,
And like again, like I feel like now you hear that and you cringe a little because you think about like, the Bryan Singer joke about yellow and blue spandex. But it's like, no, it's not, it doesn't have to be that way. Like acknowledging the absurdity of the genre, like can be done in a way that's like clever and
yeah.
subtle.
I
And
mean, I still always remember like Bill Paxton like freaking the fuck out, how ridiculous, like in Aliens.
yeah,
Like to me, that was always like, how isn't there like, and this is, I think that there's not really that like that distinct of a character going,
right.
we have to fucking get out of here. What the fuck are we doing? Are you fucking insane? And it's just like it's so yeah, it's really kind of gone back to a lot of that. There's a lot of you can tell there's like a lot of physical, like the alien creature is fantastic. It's
Right.
also like I love how when it actually changes, like this alien is a little bit more um I don't want it sounds like a bad thing, but like a little bit more of a human like
Hmm.
form, like where its movements and things like that. But then it also jumps right into the like old school alien kind of style movements.
Right.
So it's like it's very fascinating. There's a podcast, last thing, like there was a
Yeah.
podcast that I was listening to, and it really made me sad.
Hmm.
Because it was, we're talking about James Cameron. And somebody was just like, it was of course, a movie podcast, and we are talking about it's like James Cameron's my favorite film, and it saddens me every day that we've lost him as a director because he's going to spend the rest of his life making avatars.
Yeah.
And like him, like this guy, whoever podcaster or whatever, is just like, he's my favorite director. I can't remember anything from those films. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I didn't even watch the last one. And it's just like, yes, they're technical spectacles. They're absolutely amazing on that thing, but like
Right.
there's no memory of it, which I think is like everybody really insults, and I think to some degree correctly insults Avatar, which is like, yes,
Hmm.
there's these, they've made more money than God, and
Yeah.
like it allows him to keep doing it. Like I kind of wish the next one would just bomb. And like I don't want that necessarily to happen to any filmmaking or whatever. I never
Right.
want,
Right.
unless it's Joker 3. Um but but it's just like because I'm like I like he was so, I mean, this is a guy that brought us Aliens, brought us
Hmm.
Terminator, brought us so many other things, like, and
It's
then
the only counter argument I'll make to that
yeah.
is that I'm sure there's somebody out there who looks at like Red State and looks at Zach and Miri and goes, why the fuck is Kevin Smith wasting his life on
But
more Jay and Silent Bob movies?
I mean,
You know,
I don't disagree on that, but I'm like Kevin is gonna eventually come up with a new idea, and like the 5 films from now or whatever, it's not like he's
I mean, he
quit
did
turn
just do the 4:30 movie a minute ago, but
yeah,
like,
but I mean, just like, he is like there. I think most directors do that, where it's just like, yeah, they get on this little sidetrack where they try something new, and then they kind of
mhm,
go, okay, like gonna make kind of make the same thing. But it's just like the locked in nature of
yeah,
Avatar, where it's like every film takes 5 years to make.
yeah,
He's 70. I mean, Kevin, thankfully, hopefully his heart will hold up. He's got kind of an added 20 years to his life with that surgery. And well, hopefully more than that. I just meant added on top of what
yeah,
he would
yeah.
have already lived,
To what he would have had, yeah,
Um, but like, I mean, it's like there's like, just like I don't know, like if Lars Van Trier. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the like some weird like would just go off
Yeah.
on a sidetrack where I mean I guess it makes sense, like
Well,
even if like I don't know if like even Michael Bay, like if Michael Bay was just like I'm only making Terminator films for the rest
yeah.
of my life, I'd be like that's a loss
Yeah. Oh,
because
yeah.
like
I
we
mean,
won't have
that's
bad boy
there,
films. We don't have, what I mean like there's just
there were
so
a
many
lot of
films.
people who made that argument in the 2000s when uh Soderbergh
Mhm.
spent 5 years making just fucking Ocean's 11 movies.
Yeah.
And people are like, what's that add to the universe? Which I think is unfair because those were pretty like,
Yeah.
you know, and also he was making the weirdest fucking movies in the world on the side. What was that
Yeah, I
one
mean,
with
it's like
the
I don't
head,
think that
the doll
I
head?
mean, I think the problem is that like because of the nature of Avatar, the Avatar films, there's nothing else you're doing.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah. I mean that's
and I think and I don't ever want to and I do definitely do not want to discount the fact that like what he's doing with cinema and what he's like the money that these films are pouring
right.
into technological advances and like underwater stuff and all
Yeah.
this jazz. And also like he has this whole like nature side thing and exploration thing that basically
Mhm.
it's like basically it's kind of like the Adam Sandler films where there's
Yeah.
the joke where he's just like, oh, he makes the next film just to get all of his friends like a free trip to Hawaii. So he
Yeah.
gets like Rob Schneider and he gets, like whoever the other, terrible racists that he's friends with are anti-Semites and everything like that, that for some inexplicable reason he's still friends with. Because I think he's a decent human being. But
Could be.
I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but like everything I've ever read about him is that he's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
person, unlike most of his friends. He like gets them to Hawaii and that's his like, oh, we get to all hang out and like make a
Yeah.
film and then like basically the student Netflix pays for it. But it's just like I don't know. It's just it's one of those is like depressing. It's just like kind of like if Spielberg just like got stuck on I'm trying to think of like what film
Yeah.
like recently, within the last 20 years that he would have made just like, no, I'm only doing autobiographical film. And actually, that would even
Yeah.
be fantastic. So it's like it's hard to say. Be like, I'm just gonna go back and revisit Jaws, and I'm just gonna make a
Yeah. Yeah.
redo
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
next five
yeah.
Jaws
I mean,
films.
the obvious one, I guess, because it had at least theoretically sequel potential and was a huge hit, would have been like Forrest Gump.
Mhm.
It's like
If
if I'm
Forrest
going to
Gump 2
spend
ever
12
happened.
years doing nothing but Forrest
Yeah.
Gump movies, then people are going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that would have been what was that? That was
95.
no, I'm trying to who the director of Forrest
Oh,
Gump
that was
was.
Zemeckis. That's right.
Yeah. I was like, wait, did he produce that? But yeah, no,
I think Spielberg produced it,
he's
and
just
that's
gonna
why.
spend the rest of his life. Or no, I mean, like Jurassic Parks, like that would have been
Yeah,
the thing. Where if he just
yeah,
said, no, I'm doing the next like seven Jurassic Parks because that made a boatload of money and I got to play with technological stuff and
yeah,
it got investment, but like just losing the like desperate want, it's like he's not doing. I hate the term, but like I've used it 3 times in this podcast alone. He's not doing cinema here. He's
yeah,
like making a technical project and like, which I guess fair. Like you can just kind of get into that like vein where it's just like, no,
yeah. I
this
mean,
is what I want to do now.
the interesting thing about Avatar, I think, is going to be in 10 years when we look back and we're like, this is like what James Cameron is doing now is the equivalent of what George Lucas did
Yeah,
creating um like THX and Skywalker Sound and all these
yeah,
like I think that like there's going to be stuff that comes out of the Avatar movies that advances the art form for years and years to come. But I do think that like when Lucas was doing it, he was doing it very in a very pointed way. It was like, no, I'm going to make Skywalker Sound. I'm going to make ILM,
yeah,
and we're going to change things.
yeah.
And with Cameron, he's not doing it for the film community. He's doing it for Avatar,
Yeah.
and then there's going to be a knock-on
Well,
effect.
he's not building. I mean, to me, it's like the Lucas comparison. He's building towards Star Wars.
Yeah,
He's building towards this, Indiana Jones. He's building towards these things. Like, I hate to say it, I mean, like, I hope that James Cameron lives to his 90s and is still making films in his 90s,
mhm,
even if they are avatars.
right.
But it's just like, it's not building towards, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to, I don't know, but like, whatever, make the next Terminator film or make the next
Yeah,
Alien film or whatever else. I don't know. I just found that it's such an interesting point as somebody who it's like I don't I'm lucky that most of my like favorite directors and writers are and creators in general are kind of making things that I like, you know, in
Right.
general. Even Steven Soderbergh, you know, I mean, like, yeah, it pops up, you know, like the last film he made was, I thought, had was at least good. Black, the spy film that he made.
Yeah, I can't remember,
Um,
but it's funny because like his movies all like
Black Glass.
he does so much, and a lot of them are so low budget
Yeah,
that like I'll miss them, and then it'll be like, oh shit, I've got three to catch up on, and I'll watch three in a weekend, and then I'll want to watch nothing but Soderbergh for a while.
yeah.
Um, so like I haven't watched anything since the one a couple of years ago. It was on HBO Max. Ed Solomon wrote it. Um,
Oh yeah, that was good.
yeah, the heist one. I can't remember the name of it, but
Yeah,
I really like that one. And so I'm behind a little bit on Soderbergh because again, the guy's so prolific that it's easy to get behind. But
yeah. It's funny because probably still like, which is really almost embarrassing to say, like my favorite oh my God, what is it called? Haywire is probably still my favorite, probably the film Sonnenberg film that I've watched more than any other film, and I just love the quietness of the film. And I think it's like one of those weird, like, and it's one of the things that pisses me off about Gina Carlo's like insane, you know, right-wing drift that she
yeah.
did. Um that like she was really, I thought she was like, for the like, there's certain people, certain actors, certain, like, especially wrestlers, or you know, just like
Mhm.
people that aren't traditional actors, who, if they choose their films right, are very good at what they think. I think that like The Rock was very good in his early couple films. He
Oh yeah.
chose really good films. It's like, I'm not necessarily the biggest actor, or the best actor, but I'm like, he did like Pain and Gain, I think it was, with
Mhm.
I think, perfect for that. Holy shit, he was great in that. Like, he was
Yeah.
just cast. And it's funny because he was just complaining. I don't know if you saw this clip. I'm sorry, I keep bringing up things. But he was just complaining about at because he has this new, like, very, I don't know if it's an
Drama.
A24
Yeah.
film, but it's like high, you know, whatever, about
Yeah,
some
he's doing the
rust.
press junket with glasses on now.
Yeah, yeah. But it was hilarious because he was just like, you know, I felt like I was really pigeonholed for, you know, in my career a long time. And I just find it hilarious that he's on stage, like, and he's on stage promoting a film where he's playing a wrestler. And it's just like, and also like, it's just like anytime I hear like somebody like The Rock, a good looking, you know, guy. I mean, like, obviously he's going to be pigeonholed because he's fucking 6'5" and
Yeah.
300 pounds of muscle. And it's just like, no, you can't play a bookkeeper. You know, like, you can't play like the, you know, can't be in a Paul Thomas Anderson film. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, or whatever, unless you're very specifically, you know, Adam Sandler can kind of get away with doing like, you know, whatever. But it was just
Yeah.
like, it was just hilarious because like, just like, you're saying you're pigeonholed and you're literally promoting a film where
The
you're
other thing
playing the
too
thing
is
that you
like, because I
started.
saw that same clip, and my
Yeah.
thought was, who, Dwayne, who owns $7?
Yeah.
Because you could just greenlight a $25 million
Yeah.
drama
Yeah.
and make yourself the star,
Yeah.
and nobody can stop you.
Yeah.
Like,
You could buy any script that you wanted at all.
yeah,
Just pay it in cash and then immediately go to the studio and say, and that if you went to a studio and if it was like a reasonable film, I think that certain
right.
studios would be like, no, I'm sorry, sir, you're not playing I don't know, I'm just trying to, you know, whatever, you know, like the
Ray Kroc.
bookkeeper, like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're not playing that, you know. And it's just like, that's not going to work. But I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, if you want to pay for it yourself, I mean, fucking Francis Ford Coppola dropped 100 and something million
Yeah.
dollars of wine money. But it's just like, it was such a, like, a disconnect. Like, I mean, obviously he's one of the more disconnected
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
people in Hollywood, which is saying something, but it's just like, it was such a funny moment because it's like,
So,
any film you want, you could buy the script and go to a studio and say, I want to be in this. I will up, I will drop $15 million. I will not take a paycheck. That, because that's the biggest part of the budget for any film that he's in. I will not take a
yeah.
paycheck. And immediately, you know, the films, if he's in it, it's going to make 15, $25 million without like any worry. And so it's like, go from there. You know, you don't need to make a $75 million, $150 million, you know, whatever. I don't know how much Black Adam cost, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like,
So I did, and now because this is like the ninth time we've said one more thing, but because we talked about Dwayne Johnson, I needed to talk about this briefly. Um, have you seen that new forensic evidence indicates that Buford Pusser killed his wife?
I don't know who this is.
Buford Pusser was a small town sheriff who
Oh, oh, oh,
was the
oh.
basis for the Walking
Yeah,
Tall movies.
yeah, yeah.
And like his whole thing was that he was this like law and order sheriff who
Yeah.
wouldn't play,
Okay.
wouldn't compromise with organized
Walking
crime or
tall.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And then like supposedly his wife was murdered in a drive-by shooting that also left him with some facial scarring.
yeah.
Um, and now at August 31st, this happened. So real recently, they're
Hmm.
like they dug up his wife's cold case and they found out that there was never a proper um what autopsy done.
Yeah, yeah,
So they exhumed her and they examined some things and they're like, oh fuck, actually it does not look like she was shot in the drive-by. It looks like she was strangled and put in the car and then her corpse was shot.
Jesus.
Um and the the scarring on his face actually kind of looks like it was self-inflicted. It looks like that was done very close range, not through a car window.
Yeah,
Um, and so like I just one of those things where it's just like so fucking fascinating to like this guy
yeah,
built an entire legend. He lived 50 years. They made six movies
yeah,
and like now come to find out it's like no the defining moment that like the movie is based on where like they kill his wife and he goes on a roaring rampage of revenge.
yeah,
Like no, he killed his own wife and then he just used it as an excuse to kill a bunch of criminals in an extrajudicial way without any kind of scrutiny.
yeah, yeah,
Because like in a small town, who's gonna blame the guy who's killing his wife's
yeah.
killers?
That feels like such an American story.
Yeah, oh for
In
sure.
so much like the fact that like again, this a hugely American story that everybody like that even if it wasn't that specific story, like that style of sheriff
Yeah.
is
Oh
like
yeah.
it is like a branded thing that people like so much of like I've covered the world of constitutional sheriffs where it's just like
Mhm.
no we work we're above we basically
Yeah,
we're since we're the only law enforcement officials that swear an oath to the directly to the Constitution, which is not really true.
yeah,
Like we are kind of above the Supreme Court, we're above the law, we are the
yeah,
law. It's very Judge Dredd bullshit.
yeah,
In the negative way, not in like
right.
not to go against Judge Dredd. But it's like yeah, I read that and I was just like, yeah, that's doesn't I hate to say I'm like it does not surprise me in any way, shape, and form that like the entire story is absolute horseshit.
Oh yeah. It doesn't surprise me that it's horseshit. It surprises me mostly that like it's been like that they reopened the case
Yeah.
and they opened this can of worms. Because like when the FBI made the announcement, they were like basically they were like, "Hey, we know nobody's going to be happy to hear this,
Yeah.
but
I'm just genuinely surprised that in this administration and with this DOJ that it was done because
well,
like
I think the case was reopened and like most of the findings were made like 2 years ago, 3 years
mm,
ago, and what happened was that like the case got declassified and they like open like basically it's like they figured it out and then
yeah.
they were like okay, well, now's the time for the press conference.
Yeah.
And so it's like this administration didn't do any of the
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
work. They just like said, okay, sure, have the press conference, tell everybody you solved the crime, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting. I can't wait for the revival film where it's just like somebody's got to make a like Walking Tall the true story or something like
oh,
that like film
I
because that
guarantee fucking T like that guy who did the Amityville movie
mhm,
and then like a year later did the one about Sharon Tate or whatever it was.
yeah,
Like there's gonna be some exploitation B movie director who's making one like right now.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it works perfectly because Walk Tall was so heavily fictionalized. They didn't
yeah,
even use Pusser's real name.
yeah,
It's just obviously based on him.
yeah,
And so like you can just make a movie about Pusser
yeah,
and like
It'd
that
be a
picture
great like honestly though, it'd be like I'd love to see like an A24 style um
walking tall
kind
movie.
of take on it, like where it's just like, okay, we can just kind of delve into this like real life
Yeah,
story a little bit more and they
God, that
can
would
make
be
it a
fun.
darker film. Um like although I'm not I don't know if we need it. It'd be kind of nice to like do it, but like I want it to exist. I don't know if I ever want to have any interest in watching it
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So
I'm
yeah.
sure it would do bank. I mean, I figure like it's the kind of thing where it's like if you could find a way to take an existing franchise that people have at least some lingering memory of and attach it to a fucking true crime story,
Yeah.
like that should be easy money.
Fair. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Any final thoughts before we go to bed? Because I really should rewind my tapes.
Nope, nope. I got nothing left.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to this very unfocused episode of Emerald City Video Podcast. Be back here for more. Be back here by noon on the fifth day for more. And always remember to rewind your cassettes.
And adjust your tracking because that allows for focus. I don't know. I was going for something, but anyway.
Yeah.